So you're sick of city living and you're considering moving to the country, maybe even looking into East County, San Diego rural, but you're not quite sure if it's gonna be a good fit for your family. Like, are you gonna be happy here? What's there to do? What's the real estate prices like? What is life like? Is there anything out here? Well, I was you about 3 years ago when we were over living in the city and all the chaos, and it was the midst of COVID, and we just wanted out. We weren't ready to leave California. We loved everything about California, especially Southern California, the weather, everything to do, the lifestyle, but we were over the culture of the city here. So we ended up selling our home and moving to East County, San Diego, and we did not know if we were making a big mistake or not, but we took a risk. In this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you everything I love about living out here, and I'm also gonna be sharing with you the stuff I can't stand. So this way you can decide if maybe rural San Diego is a good fit for you and your family. All right, number one on the list is the cost of housing out here, the cost of real estate. You get so much more for your money out here. So if you are living closer to the city or even the suburbs and your home is worth, let's say, $1 million, because that's now become the average price point here in San Diego, you could sell your home and you don't even need to trade up and spend more for your new home. For $1 million out in rural country, you can get a nice 2,500, maybe even a 3,000 square foot house with a pool and some land, perhaps even acreage, depending on what part of the countryside you're in. So you get a lot more for your money. We were basically able to trade our 1,900 square foot home for a 2,800 square foot home, but we now have a pool and over 2 acres and tons of privacy and epic views. We are only 30 minutes to the city, so your money is gonna get you a lot more house and a lot more land out here in country. Number 2 on the list is the fact that you're surrounded by nature when you live out in rural East County. Obviously, it's the countryside, but I didn't really quite appreciate how much living surrounded by mountains and parks and hiking trails and lakes and green everywhere you go versus when we drive back into kind of the city where it's just concrete and buildings and structures and patches of grass, and you really start to appreciate the benefits of being surrounded by nature, not just scenic and the views out your door, but also what it does, like just for your energy. It's more calming, more relaxing. The kids are definitely more zen. It's just good for your soul. So one of the huge benefits for me is like we are just surrounded by nature, and it would be really hard to go back to city living after living in serenity like this. We've got amazing parks here like Flint Springs and El Monte Park that my kids love going. Not only do they have playgrounds, but huge, enormous, mature trees, and you're surrounded by these mountain ridges and streams, and it is just magical, and you can't believe you're still in San Diego, and that's all out here in East County. I only lived 30 minutes west of here for the past 20 years, and I had no idea any of this existed. It's just such a great place to raise your kids surrounded by all this nature and outdoor activities. Number 3 on the list for me is the small town vibes and sense of community here. It's something I really wanted for my family. It's something that I saw in other parts of the country, but I felt were definitely lacking in places like LA where I grew up. Like there was zero sense of community in my neighborhoods. Everyone stuck to themselves and was out for their own. You definitely don't even say good morning to, somebody as you're passing them by on the street. Where in San Diego, they're way more relaxed and friendly, but when you get to the rural East County, now you're talking about like small town Midwestern vibes. It's amazing. They have local events and community events all the time, and it's just cute and quaint, and I love it for my family. So if that is something you're looking for, you're gonna find that here. All right, so number 4 on the list is the slower pace of life. That is also something that we wanted when we chose to move out here. We were, it was during the pandemic time, and I just was tired of the rat race. I was tired of congestion and traffic and just getting around your day-to-day errands and getting my kids to school, and everywhere was congested and everything. It was just a lot. And I was ready to just breathe and relax, and I wanted to get out of California. I wanted to get out of Southern California. I either wanted to move up to Northern California or just out of the state. But we couldn't because our businesses were here. And so when we got the light bulb moment to give East County, San Diego a shot, we definitely found that slower pace of living here that we were actually not expecting. I don't know why, but everything is just easy here. You know, when you're driving down the street, there's no congestion, there's no traffic. when you're doing your errands or pulling into a shopping center. It's not gridlock, people waiting to pull into a parking space. Like that is what I've been used to my whole life coming from LA and then San Diego. So moving out here, it's a breeze. Going to the supermarket's a breeze. It's never busy. It's never crowded. It's just easy. I know that sounds ridiculous and I just rhymed, but it's true. So if you're looking for small town vibes without actually moving to a small town and giving up everything that the city has to offer, that is where I think the gold lies in East County, San Diego. And number 5 on the list is that we are still in San Diego. So the beauty is you get all the benefits of living in rural, small town vibes, easy living, much larger homes, much larger lots, giving you privacy and space and serenity, but you have not left the state. You are still within 30 minutes of one of the largest, I think San Diego is the 8th largest metropolitan city in all of the United States, and you're still in it, like 30 minutes to downtown San Diego. San Diego Airport is about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic. I'm gonna say 45 minutes. You're still close to the beaches. Again, it's a 30-minute drive down the 8 freeway. It's this one freeway going straight down. You'll get to Pacific Beach or Mission Beach, SeaWorld, Balboa Park. All those attractions are within 30 minutes, so it's not even an hour commute. You are still living in San Diego. You have not left the building. And I think that's where North Park and places like Fallbrook and Vista, although they're super beautiful in rural North County communities, you are far away from the city. And I think that is one of the things, I know that's one of the things that made it an easy move for us to move out to rural East County, is because we still felt like we were within reach of everything that we were used to enjoying in San Diego, and we weren't moving our kids away from San Diego. We were just 30 minutes from everything, and in the summers we still go to the beach every weekend, and going out to the attractions and SeaWorld and all that stuff. We see our friends that live at the beach. It's not a big deal, because if you live in LA or San Francisco, 30 minutes doesn't even get you across town because it's just so congested. So number 5 is you are still living in San Diego County, and you are still living very close to San Diego, the city. All right, my biggest pet peeve, the number one thing I can't stand about living out here that I miss is the amenities. Everything is far away. It feels like everything's far away. When you live in a city or you have your whole life and you're used to everything being around the corner, anything you could think of, just within 5 to 10 minutes, your malls, all your shopping, clothing shopping, yoga studios, gyms, you have your pick of many options of different types of restaurants, different types of food, nice restaurants, hole in the walls, everything, especially like trendy, cool, hip restaurants and bars. When you move to the country, you don't get that. There's none of that here. So that is something that really annoyed me. If I wanted to take a yoga class, which I love yoga, the closest yoga studio was in La Mesa, which was about 25 minutes away. So it's that convenience, it's not like I don't have access to it, but there's nothing 5 minutes away from me. There's nothing. But that is just the trade-off for getting lots of space and beautiful views and away from congestion. So there are other options. I would say an alternative is Mount Helix. And Mount Helix, you're in La Mesa, and you are very close to downtown. You have a whole suburb underneath you that has all the amenities that you could think of, everything that I mentioned. It's a true suburb, so you have everything. But living in Mount Helix, you still have large homes on acreage. The difference between Mount Helix's real estate prices and rural is quite different though. So you are paying a premium for that. Your average home in Mount Helix is gonna be closer to $1.5 million to $2 million, where I'm living, you can get a really nice house between 1.2 and 1.4 million. So there's that. So that's my biggest pet peeve of living out in the country, depending on where you are. If you're in Alpine, you actually have a small town, which is why I love Alpine. It has a lot of amenities right there, but you still need to go down the hill to get to a mall or any kind of big box stores or yoga studios or fine dining. And if you're in the countryside like me in Dehesa or in Hamul, you definitely need to drive at least 15 minutes to even get to a grocery store. So there's that. All right, number 2 on the list of cons is something that was never even on my radar. And that is this is the country, and there are some nice paved roads with sidewalks, and then there are some roads that have no sidewalks, and then there are some roads that don't even have pavement. It is dirt roads. And yes, there are homes on dirt roads out here. So you don't realize, if you're a city girl like me, that that's even a thing. And you don't even realize that maybe the house that you're buying, you're not gonna mind the fact that there are no sidewalks or there are no curbs, or you may not even mind that the roads aren't paved because it feels charming to you. Then you move in and you realize, maybe I went a little too far on the country. So it's important when you're starting to look at homes out in East County or East County rural to work with an agent that knows these areas really well. Someone like me, especially like me, because I feel like I bring to you value of someone who knows city life and has transitioned to rural life. So I am going to be a great resource for you in helping you figure out what the best type of community out here is for you. Number 3 on the list is we are in a high fire zone. High fire zone. So am I afraid of fires? No. But one problem you may have is getting fire insurance, which is a requirement when you get financing for a home. And actually recently, California has made it really hard for insurance companies to do business here in California. So a lot of these insurance companies have pulled out of even providing insurance coverage in these high fire zones in rural East County, San Diego. I actually have a deal in escrow right now. My buyers are in escrow and they're having a really hard time finding anybody to insure them. And so they are going with CalFed, which is a government-backed insurance. So you can get insurance, but there is no private insurance for rural San Diego because we were in a high fire zone. There are so many regulations in place to protect homes during wildfire season. Yes, we have wildfire season here. So there are regulations in place that require you to have a defensible space between your home and the land around it. So everything around you is real cut down. There's no bushes or trees or anything that is in danger of catching fire and reaching up to your home. So there are precautions. If that is something that concerns you, then you may not be comfortable living in East County, San Diego, but definitely reach out to me so that I can share more with you about that. There are obviously much more developed communities in the country, and then there are rural homes that have no neighbors, and they're probably more at risk. So reach out to me so I can share with you more about that. All right, number 4 on the list is a lot of these homes out here are kind of off the grid compared to what you're used to when you live in a developed community in the suburbs or in the city. And that is, we are on septic. Some homes are on wells, and my home is included in that. And I never even heard of a septic system before until about 5 years ago. And here we are living on septic and a well. A septic is when there is no sewage connected to the city. So we have a giant septic system. So when you flush or anything goes down the sink or toilet, it goes into a septic that's on the property. And once every year to 2 years, depending on how many people live in your house and I think how big the septic is, a service comes out and then they clear it out. And it sounds gross, but it is what it is. And the other thing we have here are wells. So my house actually has no access to city water. There's no plumbing to city. We are on a well. 100% of our water comes from the ground. It's 1,000 feet. So we learned a lot our first few months here. And, you know, I thought at first like, oh my God, this is so amazing. We have free water. But yeah, our pump went out because of the rains, and thank goodness for homeowners insurance because it covered it, because the cost to replace a well pump was $5,000. So all these things are super easy to live with. You don't notice them in your day-to-day, but it is an adjustment. And if you're coming from the burbs or the city and you've never lived on a home with well or septic, it may seem very uncomfortable and overwhelming and maybe scare you off, but please don't let it. I am happy to share with you everything I have learned. It is not scary, and there are services that can take care of everything for you. So don't feel like you're taking on more than you can chew. There's really not much you personally have to do. There are services that take care of it all, and it's pretty cool to be almost off grid. And then once you get solar and a battery and you can be totally self-sufficient, holla. So number 5 on the list is commuting. Commuting can be a pain in the booty if you have to drive, if you don't work from home and you're driving into either downtown or Kearney Mesa, Mission Valley, Sorrento Valley, wherever it is that you're working, you're gonna have a commute because the 8 freeway gets really backed up with people that are coming back to our rural, peaceful countryside. I would say the commute is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. But I think it goes without saying that anywhere in Southern California has crappy, shitty traffic during rush hour times in the morning and in the evening, and commuting to East County, San Diego or rural San Diego is not going to be any different. But know that if you are coming from, let's say, Mission Valley, Kearney Mesa, your commute time is going to be about 45 minutes. So take that into consideration when making your decision to move out here. So I am somebody who grew up in LA and prided myself on a city girl who turned beach girl, who now lives in the country. And it still feels like I'm having an identity crisis at times, but I do love it out here, and the pros absolutely outweigh the cons. This is definitely our next 10-year plan until both kids are done with school. This is where we want to be. It's just a great family-friendly, safe environment. It's chill. It's away from the hustle and bustle, but I don't think I could ever pull the plug and be far away from the city. So I love that I can just be down at the harbor having lunch with the girls, you know, in 30 minutes, but I can be back in my quiet countryside where I'm raising my kids in a nice, safe place. So if you have any questions about living out here, I would love to talk. You can drop your questions in the comments or give me a call, shoot me a text, send me a message. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom with you. It's my favorite, so we can talk face to face. Definitely make sure to check out the rest of my videos on living in rural San Diego and East County, San Diego.